The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program. I'm Duncan, Garner. Great to have you along. Welcome. This is my new show we got here, finally. Big hoopla out there. No, there's no one here. Editor-in-Chief, live. Welcome. Great to have your company. Thank you so much for finding us. We're live on social media right around the country. We're on Rover, we're on YouTube live, we're on TikTok live and Twitch as well. Who knew what Twitch was? I still don't, but we're on Twitch. Good to see you here. Message me. You know how to do that. All the details on the screen here. This is how you get hold of me. And 0800 863 293. Call me. That's the open line. Open, honest and accountable. I jammed the boss's arm up his back until he restored the open line back into the studio here. So I got talk back and he's got a sore arm. I think it's rooted. 0800 863 293 is the number. The team, Miranda, Caleb, Zarina and Forrester, have worked night and day to get us here. The media, as you know, is facing difficult times. You don't trust much of what we do anymore. So this is our new daily morning news show. And I stand on my record, no government cash behind this. They barely give me the time of day anyway. We're not puppets. We'll call out the Muppets. That's what we'll do. We welcome live feedback. The number's 0800 863 293. It's budget week, of course. Public services are stretched. Hospitals are turning patients away. Thousands of workers are being laid off everywhere. Inflation's high. Debt's through the roof, and National's giving away $10 billion of tax cuts. Wait till you hear what the landlords get too. That's the definition of madness from a one-trick pony, isn't it? Where do you sit on all this? Tax cuts, yes or no? Or do you want it to go into social services? 0800 863 293. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. Feedback is welcome. Don't hold back. Today, when will the Greens cut MP Darleen Tana? When will they cut her loose? Tana has been stood down from Parliament on full pay, and she's under investigation for what she knew about claims that workers were exploited and not paid at her husband's bike shop business. I'll interview a man this morning who says he worked for the couple. He went all the way to the court to get paid. It took 5 long years. He says Tana is no innocent bystander and was hands-on. So he's got much more to say on this shortly. But right now, it's news time. Here's Lucy Walker.
New Zealand remains on standby for Papua New Guinea in the wake of a catastrophic landslide. The death toll is estimated to be close to 700, with the only highway into the remote village blocked. Australia, France and the US all say they too stand ready to help, but have yet to receive an official request. A series of tornadoes have churned through parts of the US, killing at least 13 people and injuring dozens more. Emergency services are still searching for people trapped in the debris. Storm chaser Brian Mfinger told CNN he witnessed a camping ground struck in Oklahoma.
People were just trapped in their campers and RVs. There were some that were destroyed, some that were tipped over, and it was a very full campground.
A Qatar Airways plane has become the latest flight to strike severe turbulence, injuring 12 people. It was flying from Doha to Ireland when it hit trouble mid-flight, sending people crashing into the ceiling. This passenger says it was terrifying.
The plane fell, the poor flight attendant went into the air, food went everywhere, the look of panic everywhere. Some of the flight attendants I saw, they had like scratches on their face.
2 men are still fighting for their lives in hospital after being pulled from a public swimming pool in Auckland. They were found unconscious at the Olympic Pools and Fitness Centre in Newmarket on Saturday night. It's believed they were holding their breath underwater. Unions are not sold on the government's education budget. Officials have promised to deliver 1,200 placements for school on-site training programs. NZEI President Mark Potter says industry shortages are not a quick fix.
We welcome that there's going to be investment in getting improvements to teacher training. We just think we need to have more of it. It's not going to be able to cover all the needs that we have as a country.
Woolworths has yet to confirm whether it will help its New Zealand customers this winter. The supermarket chain is slashing prices on more than 400 products in Australia as part of its winter price drop. The products have been selected to help customers retain grocery essentials over the winter months. Residents of a leafy Norfolk village claim their life has been made hell by a flock of noisy feral chickens. They say the birds are so out of control they've taken to wearing earplugs at night so they can sleep. However, not everyone agrees, with some claiming the animals add to the village's rural charm. To sport, the understrength Warriors have beaten the Dolphins in the NRL 24-20 at Mount Smart. Coach Andrew Webster.
Yeah, if you had seen our dressing room before the game, you probably would have understood that was no fluke tonight.
And the weather's improving after the Indy 500 was delayed by several hours due to storms. Trucks are drying the track with hopes the great race will start at about 9:15. Kiwi driver Scott McLaughlin's on pole.
All right, Lucy Goose, before you go, Woolworths. So they're getting the deals in Australia. Mm-hmm. When do they arrive here? When do we get the cheaper goods here?
Well, we have asked this morning. We want to know.
Come on, Woolworths.
Yep.
We need to call them out now, but we'll reward you. Should you come forward with this, we'll announce it on the program. We'll give you plenty of credit.
There you go.
400 basic essentials.
Yes, to help people get through winter. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Now, what about the chickens in Norfolk? What's happening there? I'm worried about the chickens.
Well, yeah, they're keeping people awake, apparently.
I had chickens once. They went missing. But they're quite... Actually, they're very nosy chickens. Especially when you're getting dressed in the bedroom, your chickens will come into the house.
Right. It's not something I've personally experienced.
No, I wouldn't have thought so, Lucy. Thank you.
Editor-in-Chief live with Duncan Garner.
Okay, welcome to Editor-in-Chief Live. This is our new show. Welcome along. Good to have your company. We're on social media. We're on Rover. We're on YouTube, Twitch and TikTok. Get hold of us. You can call us 0800 863 293 is the number. You'll see on the screen as well. There we go. You can text and all sorts of things there. Lots of little... Look at this. I'm pointing to it. It works. Love it when that happens. I love it. There we go. It all works. There it is right there. It's budget week and National is handing out the lollies. 10 billion in tax cuts, 3 billion in rebates to landlords. So tax cuts, yes or no? Or do you put the money to social services? Where do you sit on this? Message me. Call me. Tell me what you think. We are live.
Duncan Garner live.
Okay, American Chuck Simpson came to New Zealand with his Kiwi wife in 2018 looking for work and ended up working in a bike shop owned by current Green MP Darleen Tana and her husband Christian. Now, it didn't go that well. Chuck wasn't paid for his work. He had to fight for 5 years to get paid. And the problem for this was that he didn't get paid. And then he ended up going to court. He ended up having to go to court to get the money. 5 years later, he finally gets it. And I spoke to Chuck a short time ago, started by asking him, what was it like to work for them?
I had told Christian and Darleen both that if there was any financial trouble or any issues with the business, that I didn't want the job. I didn't want to have to be, chasing up to pay bills and things like that. So Christian and I flew to Blenheim to do an inventory, which didn't go well. There was quite a bit of dysfunction in the shop. There was missing inventory. So when we came back from that trip, I said, hey, listen, I don't think I'm the person to go if it's going to be this chaotic. And at that point, they guaranteed me that it would be fine. They even, in an email, said they would guarantee me a manager position in Auckland for 6 months if it didn't work out in Blenheim.
Oh, yeah. And so you lasted, 2 weeks in Blenheim?
Yeah, so 2 weeks in Blenheim, and it just, it fell apart pretty quickly. There was just, we couldn't order bikes unless we paid for them because the accounts were all maxed out. It was quite a bad situation. Right,
the place owed a bit of money, did it?
Yeah, it did quite a bit.
And did you get paid?
I did not at all.
Not for that first 2 weeks' work. What did you do? What did you do after 2 weeks?
After 2 weeks, my wife and I, we had an issue with where we were staying, and we couldn't stay there anymore. So I tried to find another place to stay, but everybody wanted a year's lease, wanted me to sign off on a year's lease. And because of the situation at the shop, I didn't feel comfortable. So after 2 weeks, I just resigned and left and came back to Auckland.
Right. And then you did some more work for them after that?
No, that was it. So that was the only work. I'd worked for them prior to going to Blenheim in Auckland, because it took, I think I met them, it was October-ish, beginning of October, and went to Blenheim in November, middle to end of November. So there's about a 6 week period in Auckland where I was working for them.
Right. And how did that go?
It wasn't so bad. It was spending a lot of time with Darleen, spending time with Christian. They were teaching me because I didn't know a lot about e-bikes. I knew a lot about regular bikes. So they were teaching me about e-bikes, selling bikes, working on bikes. We did a bike expo in Auckland, and all that was going, pretty well. They were definitely, I had some red flags, but every time I mentioned the red flag, they said they would take care of it. Yeah,
and ultimately they never did. Ultimately, you were owed money. How much money were you owed? How much wages were you out of pocket? And when did you get it? And how hard was the fight?
Oh, the fight was really difficult. So when I left Blenheim, it was December 3rd, 2018. And in January of 2019, I hired Alex from Saks Kiwi to be my advocate. So in January of 2019, they started the process of mediation and trying to resolve it. And it went from January of 2019 to finally I got a decision in December of 2023.
Wow. And the decision was they owed you how much?
It was $6,200.
$6,200.
Yeah.
And so they finally paid those wages 4 or 5 years later?
Yep, they did.
And how much did you spend trying to get that money back?
Oh, it was probably between lawyers and filings. It was probably 15,000, I'd say.
Man, how's this left you? Feeling towards the two of them? And of course, she's a Green MP, of course. What's your thoughts?
Here are two people that come off like they're holier than thou, save the planet, super green, and they're the furthest from that you could imagine. They're just, horrible people, in my opinion.
And what's her level of involvement? Because obviously she's an MP now, but what's her level of involvement in the business with what you were dealing with?
When I was there, she was involved 100%. She was she wrote my contract. She was at different bike shops on a daily basis. She worked the e-bike show with us. She was the one that took everybody out for drinks after the e-bike show. So while I was there, she was 100% involved.
So for her to claim that she doesn't know anything about it, this is her husband's business, it's not her business, for her to say that she doesn't know much, what is your reaction to that?
Yeah, I would find that very hard to believe. 'Cause from my experience there, Christian was kind of the man on the tools, and Darleen was like the brains behind the finances.
Well, there weren't many brains on the finances. Things sound like a shambles.
Yeah, that's how Christian used to put it. Christian would say, she's in charge, she's the brains of the finances, and I'm the man on the tool. I think he even said that, which it blew me away. But if you watch some of the interviews he did on the day that this whole debacle came down, he basically said that in an interview, I think on News Hub or one of them, where he said, I'm the guy on the tools. My wife is the person on the books. And I'm like, isn't that what this is all about? That she's not supposed to be on the books?
Yeah. So you got your $6,200 in wages after a 4 or 5 year battle. You spent almost 20 grand getting there. Are there others in the same boat? There are others that feel exploited too, aren't there, and are fighting for their wages? How are they doing? Do you know?
I know my advocate, Alex, has another client, Nick Scott, who he won his case for $30,000. And that was supposed to be paid months ago. And as of, from what I've heard today, this morning, talking to Alex, they still haven't been able to get a penny from them. Well,
she's on full pay. The MP's on full pay. Darleen Tana's on full pay. She's been suspended and has been off Parliament, but she's still getting paid.
Yeah, so she's getting paid, but I guess the rest of us are all out of pocket.
Yeah, what's it left you feeling about New Zealand and the New Zealand workplace and dealing with things here? Because you came in here all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, thinking it was a great country. Your views suddenly changed, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even my wife would tell you, like when I came here, I was quite a trusting person, and after this experience, I find it very hard to trust or believe anything that anybody says, because it was just a bad. I've joked with my advocate. I said, all the victims, because that's what we are. We're victims of these people. All of us should get together and start a support group, because all of us have had our lives, like my life particular. So the day that Darleen called me for my interview, I was leaving an interview with AUT, where AUT had offered me a job with free education to get my PhD. So I turned down a job at AUT because I trusted Darleen and Christian. And, so that my life's impacted from that forever. Like, there's no way to. Yeah.
How would you describe them? What should people look out for if people are dealing with these people? What's the warning? What's your warning about them as individuals?
I would say they're very good liars, very narcissistic. They'll make you believe anything that they say, and maybe they truly believe. I mean, even when you're sitting in an ERA hearing with Christian, like he just lies so much. It's hard to you almost start thinking like, is it true what he's saying? He's lying so much. It's a really weird.
You described him to me earlier on the phone, chatting to you. I think it was something along scumbag or something along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the highest level of scum that you could imagine.
Yeah.
But he comes off like he's this, green, rides his bike to work every day person, save the planet, don't burn oil.
What should happen to Darleen Tana now? She's still on full pay, still an MP, not doing much, but still there on the taxpayers' largesse. What should happen to her? What would you like to see happen to her?
Yeah, I'd like to see her fired. I think, like I've said to people, like if she is able to keep her job, I think New Zealand as a country is in big trouble, because it's just from where I sit, that she was even allowed to get elected is so bad. And for people not to do the minimum due diligence to find out, like her husband doesn't have one, doesn't have two, but there's so many ERA claims and so many complaints that you think if they even just did a little bit of due diligence, they would have been able to find out that. And
just final question, you found your feet now? You're okay? You and the family, you're on your way?
Yeah, we it took us a while to recover from that. And we moved to the South Island, and things are going well now.
Good on you, Chuck. Hey, nice to meet you, mate, and I appreciate your time today, and all the best. I'm glad you got your money.
You too.
All the best. Nice to meet you.
Yep, you too. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Cheers, mate.
Yep, bye-bye.
Duncan Garner, live.
I don't know what the Greens are waiting for when it comes to Darleen Tana. I mean, the evidence is there. Don't know what they're waiting for. I'll chop him, get rid of him. 0800 863 293. Let's talk sport now with John Day. Johnny, nice to see you. Welcome to the studio.
Yeah, and you, Duncan. Morning, mate.
The Baby Wars.
Yeah.
Like the Baby Blacks of 1986. They've come again, haven't they?
Yes, have they what? So they beat the Panthers last week and then beat the Dolphins, who are a very good side under Wayne Bennett, top four side. And they did it the hard way too. Under the pump in the early stages, down at half time, but Webby keeps things cool, doesn't he, Andrew Webster, the coach?
Seems to, yeah.
And they just rallied for him. And guys like Dylan Walker, who had to play standoff, was sensational. Mitch Barnett, who's the standing captain, he was great. He's just been picked in the wider squad for New South Wales as well, State of Origin. So very rarely does a Warriors player get picked for State of Origin, let alone for New South Wales. So the Baby Wars are doing it.
Yeah, they had a few, some guys pulled out just before the game too, didn't they? So they're upset as well.
Chance Nickel-Klokstad in the morning of the game. Tane Tuopiki as well. His wife or his partner in labour was taking longer than expected, so he was a late withdrawal. Guys that haven't even played NRL were out there in the back line and just showing so much ticker, so much heart. And for a team that were down and out 2 weeks ago, the Wars are back.
Yeah, they are back. And it interests me too because they're back with these no-name players. Do you put the other guys, the big boys back in there because they've beaten the top side, Penrith, and they've beaten number 4 in Dolphins.
Yeah,
Pretty
this
good.
is a huge question now heading into the bye week. So you'd expect Tohu Harris will walk straight in. He's the captain. He's the man.
Yep.
Sean Johnson's an interesting one with Tamari Martin playing so well at halfback. Do you carry a guy like... Tamari will probably go back to standoff, but Chanel Harris-Tavita's back.
He looked good, didn't he?
He looked great. So do you have him on the bench and just be Sean like, we've still got your back, Sean, but, if things aren't going so well, there is an option on the bench.
Could they dump him?
Well, I don't think you dump him. I don't think you dump him because he is the heart and soul of that team. And when he's on, like last year, not many better halfbacks in the NRL. So just good to know there's so much depth at the Wars.
They're still at 13th, though, aren't they? Is it 13th?
Yeah, still 13th, but only 3 points out of the top 8. So they'll get 2 points for the bye, then they'll only be 1 point away from the top 8. And after the crap run they've been through, that's not too bad.
Speaking of crap runs...
I know where this is going.
not the crap runs. You take that the wrong way. But anyway, the Crusaders, they're back-ish.
Yeah, I knew when Rob Penney did what he did during the week that the Crusaders were going to be on for this one against the old enemy, the Blues, down in Christchurch, season on the line, and they got it done. Powerful scrum, which they've always got and still got with all those All Blacks now back to full fitness, and some young guys doing the job in the back line as well. So well done to the Crusaders, alive for another week, but need a lot to go their way if they're to make the playoffs.
Could they? Is there a mathematical chance?
Yeah, there is. So they will beat Minor Pacifica on Friday night with a bonus point. I think everyone can agree with that. And then they need the Melbourne Rebels to go to Fiji and beat the Drua, which isn't impossible, but it's in Lautoka, where the Fijian and Drua don't really lose many games. So
stronghold.
Yeah, we're all Crusaders. I'm talking about us here. We're all Melbourne Rebels fans this week, so go the Rebels.
That's going to be hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I must go and buy a jersey, said no one ever. The Indy 500, Scott McLaughlin, God, he's done well.
He's done really well. So this was supposed to go at 4:45 this morning, piercing down in Indianapolis, but they're somehow managing to dry the track. A guy was out there with a leaf blower, for God's sake, at the Brickyard trying to dry the track, but we are keeping an eye on it. 8:45 this morning, we're hearing it should be underway.
It's a big deal then, eh?
Oh, it's a massive deal. There's a triple crown of racing, and it's Le Mans, Indy 500, and Monaco.
Yeah, New
really
Zealand.
in Formula One.
And we've pulled our weight on this too. We've done okay.
Dixon's won it, so he's the only ever Kiwi winner of the Indy 500. Would love to make it 2 this morning.
And who won at the Monaco Grand Prix? Was
Charles Leclerc.
Ferrari,
who's a local. He's a local Monaco guy, and whenever anyone who's not Max Verstappen wins in Formula One, it's exciting. So cool to see the Ferrari come first and third with Carlos Sainz as well, who hasn't got a drive for next year. Several teams will be interested for that, and Verstappen 6th.
Yeah, interesting stuff. And the canoe sprint, I see Carrington's been beaten again.
Yeah, this is great, this story, because Amy Fisher is a woman who is a very strong paddler but didn't fit the mould for high performance sport New Zealand, so she went outside the program, the canoe sprint program, which is a brave thing to do, because everyone's looking, hey, Lisa Carrington's good.
Yeah.
She's in the program. Why can't you do it? But she
on the way down.
Did her own thing. Amy Fisher, she won the World Champs 3 years ago, and now she's beaten Lisa Carrington twice in 2 weeks. This showdown at the Olympics is going to be must-watch TV.
She's better than Carrington now, can we say?
Well, when she won by 0.05 of a second, I don't think you can say one's better than the other.
Yeah.
It's literally a paddle, a stroke in it. So Fisher versus Carrington for gold in the K1 500 metres at the Paris Games will be incredible.
The Black Ferns you haven't mentioned is because Australia was so weak.
Yeah, they beat them by 40 points, put 60 on them at North Harbour. I thought it was a great crowd.
Yes.
Really big crowd, and they were always going to bounce back and beat Australia because they do every single time. Australia pour all their money into sevens, so their 15s program is an absolute waste of time, essentially. So Black Ferns won, but nothing to read into that until the bigger games later in the year.
Johnny, thanks for joining the Editor-in-Chief. Appreciate your time, mate.
No worries, mate.
Duncan, Garner.
Right, Caleb, I'll bring you in here. This is Caleb. Caleb's our man on the studio. He's the studio boss, the CEO of the studio. Caleb, Rob Penney, so he wins that game. Crusaders win the game. Does that save him for the year? One win saves him?
I think he's got his job in the bank for next year. I think if you look at a lot of New Zealand sides, we're not like English football where we sack coaches for fun. We tend to be loyal. We tend to back them. Yep. I think if they make the 8, he's 100% safe. I think now a little bit wobbly, but I still think he'll get another run.
Yeah, he'll get a few of those ABs back and he'll perform, and then he'll be saved, won't he?
Oh, totally.
He's had a 2-year deal, I think, isn't he? A 2-year deal?
I wouldn't have a clue. I wasn't in the room for the contract.
Something like that. All right, Caleb.
Duncan, Garner.
All right, let's do some questions. I've got 3 questions.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief. 1.
Okay, number 1. Would you like to take up to 10 unhappy days of leave every year? Chinese supermarket chain Pangdong will allow its staff up to 10 days of unhappy days every year. Many workers say they still feel uncomfortable telling the boss that they need a mental health day. So, if you're feeling like shit, look like shit and hate the world, then call the boss and say you're unhappy. And the policy is that you won't be denied your unhappy day. You'll get your unhappy day. The Chinese work culture is relentless. It's 6 days a week, and it's from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. My prediction is that there will be a lot of unhappy days. Don't try this here. I fear it will be oversubscribed.
2.
Oh, number 2's a goodie. Remember this? Oh, this is a goodie. Who remembers this? Does Forrester know this? Okay, would you ever go and watch the National Sheepdog Trials? Get in behind them, Buzz. Get in behind them, Buzz. Round the corner, Buzz. Remember this? Remember this? It all kicks off today in Taranaki. Hundreds of dogs. There are 4,000 scared sheep running around too. 128 sheepdog clubs and 1,002 runs for the North Island champs and the New Zealand sheepdog champs. There's a Gem, a Buzz, a Nippy, a Pearl, Lizzie, Wok, Rogue and Havoc. I think my money is on Rogue or Havoc, don't you think? Or is Nippy a better bet? Old school, I love it. So would you go, is the question. Okay, enough of that one. Thank you very much.
3.
Yes, good. Do you feel sorry for landlords and the stress of owning property? They get their big payday this week. This is a massive one. It's massive, all right. They can claim, once again, they can claim back what they spend on their houses and the interest off the loans that they service. It's a $2.9 billion cheque from national to the landlords. And get this, so 346 landlords who own at least 200 properties each will share about $464 million between them, almost $500 million. So next time Christopher Luxon says there's no money for cancer drugs, remember this, okay? 346 of these Kiwis will share almost $500 million. Now that sounds fair, doesn't it? I want to swear about this one, actually. 346 people getting... that's a shitload of money, isn't it? $500 million for 346 Kiwis. I think it's fair, don't you, folks? Yeah, nice to have your company.
Editor-in-Chief live with Duncan Garner.
346 landlords getting $500 million.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Yep, here we go. Those are the Greens. I've talked a bit about the Greens, though. They've had a shabby 12 months. MP after MP's fallen by the wayside. Gold Rees, what'd she go for? Stealing? She went for stealing. James pulled the plug probably because, as a white man in a suit with a brain, he was outnumbered. There's only one of them there. Elizabeth Kitty went for bullying allegations. Julianne Jetta has also faced claims that she's a bit aggro, and she has been, hasn't she? Then there's the tragic death of Professor Collins. Almost too nice for the Greens lot, wasn't he? But wait, there's more. The party that's quick to judge others, and they're pretty judgy, are being called out for their lack of moral high ground. You know, they're being accused of basic hypocrisy. Do as I say, not as I do, and I reckon they look like a mess. They may have felt like they did well at the election, but that was then, this is now. They're struggling to contain a number of problems, which I think must be addressed. Firstly, they've got 2 female leaders, which I think narrows the party, and I'd say the same thing if they had 2 males as well. But the Greens rules block 2 men having the remote control, let alone the leadership. So they've got no show. But that's not the most serious issue. This is. They demand high standards of others, there's no doubt about that. But their backyard is a disgrace and a mess, and they're hypocrites in my view. They need to act. They've got to get rid of the under fire MP, Darleen Tana. She's under investigation for what she knew about her husband's business dealings, and claims that he exploited and didn't pay workers. And he didn't. We've heard from Chuck Simpson this morning. He didn't pay. They didn't pay, and she knew. And she was the brains behind the business, apparently. That's serious. And so Chuck Simpson told us today that he says Tana knew everything and was the brains. He wasn't paid what he was owed until he took it to court. It cost him $20,000 chasing $6,200 in wages, and they shafted him, folks. Do you think she should remain an MP for that reason? Exploitation? Doesn't the Greens stand for a lack of that? And this closed shop investigation by the party now won't interview a worker who's owed up to $30,000 in wages. So someone's owed $30,000, they're not interviewing him. I think they should. Meanwhile, Tana there sits on fully paid leave, $170,000 salary, doing nothing. The Greens should say they've heard enough and seen enough and send her on her way. For a party that goes into bat for the vulnerable and for the exploited, they've sure been far too silent on this so far, in my view, in my opinion. They need to do something. For their own credibility and their own reputation, they must move Darleen Tana on. Hang on to her, and all their talk about fighting for the underdog is just that. It's cheap talk and blatant hypocrisy. So, Chloe, what's it going to be? You're going to protect your own? Are you going to ignore the facts? Or are you going to do the right thing?
Garner.
It is 0800 863 293 is the number. And I'll just hit some buttons here and I'll get my feedback. What am I pressing here, Forrester? What am I looking for here, mate? Am I going to press one of these buttons here, or how's it going to work? Why don't you bring it up for me? We'll bring up some of this feedback for me.
Oh, sorry, here we go. We got some feedback in from London.
This is Forrester, folks. Forrester, say hi.
G'day.
Hey, Forrester, how are you, mate?
Back in the control room.
Yeah.
We got Renzo says, good morning, Brother Duncan.
Lorenzo?
Renzo.
Renzo,
says,
good morning, brother. Good morning, brother Renzo.
Yeah, got some lots of people watching, from London, across the world.
Right.
Cool.
0800 863 293. We'll train you to call as well, because we'll take your calls in the morning. So Talkback doesn't always work early morning, but we'll train you, and you can call up, have your say, and give us your view. Thanks for your text, Renzo. I reckon who wants to go to the sheepdog trials? If we got the day off, the rest of the day off, we should. Who wants to go down there? No. Miranda, are you keen to go? No. Miranda's the boss. She's got no idea. She doesn't want to go at all. Forrester, would you like to go? Forrester?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'd love to go to the sheep
trials.
Have you heard?
So you're a young guy. Have you heard of the sheep trials before?
I've never watched them, I have to say.
Have you heard of this music? This is famous, this music in New Zealand.
I've heard the music. I don't know where it's from, though, but now I do.
The music's, mate, this is, this is the dog show, mate. This is where you see all the action happen. So we're 0800 863 293. You can get hold of us here as well on the... you'll see all the details on the screen. So we'll run some of the stories. We'll also run all our contacts. You're on right across social media on Rover, and you can get hold of us through TikTok and all that sort of thing. And you get hold of us anywhere across the week, and we'll be here next week after that, and all that sort of thing going well. So that is us for today. We appreciate you coming along. We appreciate you following the program. Thank you so much for following us. This is available as a podcast right from now, so we'll put this up as a podcast on anywhere that you get your podcast across social media. Don't forget that you can always get hold of us, and you can email me, duncan@rover.nz. Life's not a dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. This is it. So go out there and enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks to my team for getting it to air day one. Good on you, folks. We'll catch you tomorrow.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.